Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to our Wisdom, the nectar from senior devotee, experience with Srila Prabhupada. Today we have very special guest, His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. Giriraj Swami Maharaj ki jai. Maharaj, I have not language to express my how great I am that I get you, and please accept my humble obeisance to your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And today we are going to just little biography of Maharaj. Giriraj Swami Maharaj born Glen Philip Lenton, the only son of respected Chicago lawyer who was later appointed judge. His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj met His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, early 1969, if I'm not wrong, while studying at a prestigious university in Boston. Yet he considered that he learned more from Srila Prabhupada in 5 minutes than in his 20 years academical study. His Holiness took formal initiation from Srila Prabhupada and was given spiritual name Giriraj Das. Giriraj Das quickly became a leader member in the Boston Center, and recognition and appreciation of his service, he was given the opportunity to go to India with Srila Prabhupada to help begin the mission there. In 1972, he toured India with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada appointed him as temple president of ISKCON Mumbai, as well as trustee of the Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust. At that time, Srila Prabhupada and his disciple had to surmount tremendous obstacle to acquire the Hare Krishna land in Juhu, Mumbai, and build a beautiful temple for Sri Radha and Krishna. He became renowned for the austerity he accepted and for his loyalty and dedication to Srila Prabhupada's mission in Mumbai, as well as for his ability to cultivate important members of society and raise funds for the project. In 1982, he was made a member of ISKCON Governing Body Council, the ultimate managing authority for the movement. Giriraj Swami went on to oversee the society activities in Mumbai, Mauritius, South Africa, Spain, Portuguese, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj has toured extensively through India and other countries, helping to develop Srila Prabhupada mission. He has also taught at Vaishnava Institute for Higher Education in Vrindavan, a frequent contributor to Back to the Godhead magazine and other journey. Giriraj Swami Maharaj is well known for his speaking and writing ability. Although health considerations have obliged Giriraj Swami to reduce his travel, he has taken his opportunity to focus on Srila Prabhupada's instruction to him to write. He is now based in South California. His famous books are Watering the Seed, Many Moons, lives in the final exam, death and die from Vedic prospect. His new book coming soon, I Will Build You to Temple, the Juhu Story. I just happy to introduce little bit share for that. So please play.
In August 1965, a few weeks before Srila Prabhupada left India for America, he walked past a 4-acre plot of land in Juhu, Bombay, and thought it would be a good location for a Radha Krishna temple. 6 years later, when he returned to Bombay, after successfully introducing Krishna consciousness in the West, a local businessman offered to sell him the same piece of land for a reasonable price. Srila Prabhupada entered an agreement for purchasing the land, but the seemingly straightforward transaction soon turned into a formidable challenge, demanding unimaginable amounts of sacrifice and perseverance from Srila Prabhupada and the devotees. But because Srila Prabhupada had promised Sri Sri Radharasa Bihari to build them a temple, he did not stop till he fulfilled his commitment. Srila Prabhupada struggle to build a temple and establish Hare Krishna land in Juhu was perhaps the greatest effort of his preaching movement. After he returned to India in August 1970, he spent 554 days in Bombay, more than anywhere else in the world. The project took 6 years, from 1972, when he took possession of the land, to 1978, when the temple opened. After the conveyance was signed, Srila Prabhupada triumphantly leaned back behind his desk and declared, "It was a good fight. Someone should write a book about it."
One of the most important books about Srila Prabhupada and his Leela of years of heartbreak and struggle in Juhu, Mumbai. No one else can write this book like His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, because he was there from the beginning to the culmination.
I served in Juhu as temple president and later as governing body commissioner from 1972 to 1999, raising funds and overseeing every aspect of the project. The only devotee to be closely involved throughout that entire period. And Srila Prabhupada had already told me in 1971, "You should write. This is your first business," and repeated this instruction over the years. So, despite my limitations and disqualifications, but with the encouragement and assistance of many well-wishers, I took up writing about Srila Prabhupada and Juhu.
That's wonderful, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Yeah, so today topic is the experience with Srila Prabhupada and the Juhu story. Juhu story is considered as per I experienced that it is small Mahabharata, fighting with devotee and non-devotee.
Yeah.
So we can know more about this, what is experience with Srila Prabhupada from Maharaj. So again, thank you so much for your kind presence. It is my honor and gratitude too. And everyone, please stay with us. Thank you so much. So First of all, Maharaj talking about Srila Prabhupada experience and Juhu story. Then later on 20 minutes, we just question and answer.
Yeah.
So I pass to Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'll start with singing the Mangalacharna prayers and leading a short kirtan, and then we will just speak about the Juhu story. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ravanatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhatmitam Cha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Irishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Srila Guru Deva. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai. So I will be back in a minute, and then I will start to speak about the Juhu story.
India for America. He walked past a 4-acre plot of land in Juhu, Bombay, and thought it would be a good location for a Radha Krishna temple. 6 years later, when he returned to Bombay, after successfully introducing Krishna consciousness in the West, a local businessman offered to sell him the same piece of land for a reasonable price. Srila Prabhupada entered an agreement for purchasing the land, but the seemingly straightforward transaction soon turned into a formidable challenge, demanding unimaginable amounts of sacrifice and perseverance from Srila Prabhupada and the devotees. But because Srila Prabhupada had promised Sri Sri Radharasa Bihari to build them a temple, he did not stop till he fulfilled his commitment. Srila Prabhupada struggled to build a temple and establish Hare Krishna land in Juhu was perhaps the greatest effort of his preaching movement. After he returned to India in August 1970, he spent 554 days in Bombay, more than anywhere else in the world. The project took 6 years, from 1972, when he took possession of the land, to 1978, when the temple opened. After the conveyance was signed, Srila Prabhupada triumphantly leaned back behind his desk and declared, "It was a good fight. Someone should write a book about it."
One of the most important books about Srila Prabhupada and his Leela of years of heartbreak and struggle in Juhu, Mumbai. No one else can write this book like His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, because he was there from the beginning to the culmination.
I served in Juhu as temple president and later as governing body commissioner from 1972 to 1999. Raising funds and overseeing every aspect of the project. The only devotee to be closely involved throughout that entire period. And Srila Prabhupada had already told me in 1971, "You should write. This is your first business," and repeated this instruction over the years. So, despite my limitations and disqualifications, but with the encouragement and assistance of many well-wishers, I took up writing about Srila Prabhupada and Juhu.
Thank you. You can start right now.
Okay. So, as you have gotten an idea, or as Sachibran himself said, it's like a Mahabharata. And of course, to tell the whole story would take days.
Yes.
The book itself is 800 pages long. But I will focus on 2 parts that are very interesting and instructive. So at one point in this battle, you could say, Mrs. Nair, who is the wife of Mr. Nair, who was a big demon. I gave a talk about this in Los Angeles. And afterwards, my godbrother, Virabahu Prabhu, commented that he doesn't usually like it when devotees call people demons. But after hearing this story, this history, he had to agree, actually, they were demons. So, after Mr. Nair died, that's another story. Mrs. Nair collected some life insurance, and it said that she used that money to bribe the municipality and the police, and she arranged for the temple to be demolished, the small temple that we had, almost completely demolished. But fortunately, the whole demolition was halted through the intervention of a very influential political leader in Bombay called Bal Thackeray of the Shiv Sena political party. So the demolition was halted just before the demolition crew got to the deity's room. They just removed like one little piece of the roofing, and then it was stopped. So thereafter, we were working with our life members and supporters to get permission from the municipal corporation to rebuild the temple structure. And in the meantime, Mrs. Nair and her lawyers were busy trying to prevent us. So we continued to hold meetings with our friends and life members discussing how to proceed. At one of these meetings at Sadaji Whitlaw's office, one of our friends pointed out that we might not actually need permission after all. We had already been approved to build the temple in the first place. The municipal commissioner had agreed to extend the temple's permit, and the municipality didn't have any valid grounds for its demolition. So although we hadn't specifically been given permission to rebuild, there was no ruling that said we couldn't, nothing to stop us from just restoring it. Somehow Mrs. Nair found out what we were planning to do, and the next day, Friday, she went to the High Court with a petition for an injunction to prevent us from rebuilding it. But the judge refused, saying that he would not give any injunction until he heard our side. And just give us a temporary injunction for the weekend. Then you can decide on the permanent injunction. Mrs. Nair appealed, but her request was denied. No, Justice Nair responded. Without hearing the other side, I will not pass any judgment. When we heard of Mrs. Nair's petition and the judge's response, we knew we had to take advantage of the opportunity. If the judge ruled against us, we would be prohibited from going ahead with the reconstruction. But once the temple was up, we understood, an injunction, even if it were granted, would be meaningless. The temple would already be in place, and no rebuilding would be necessary. We figured we had the weekend until Monday morning to put up the structure. We managed to get the construction materials, which was quite hard in those days, especially cement, which was under quota. And it just so happened that Mr. Sethi, in the little video you saw, Mr. Sethi was there in the demolished temple, overseeing the reconstruction. So Mr. Sethi was a building contractor, and although he was in poor health, he declared, "No matter whether laborers are available or not, I will rebuild this temple and I will do the labor work myself." As it turned out, he was able to bring plenty of laborers and also supplies from his own construction sites. "I got the material from Andheri East, where my work was going on," he later recounted. "Bricks, sand, and cement." In the course of the day, Mrs. Nair, Matre, who was an ally of Mrs. Nair and one of the demons who was really working against us, and Mrs. Nair's solicitor, Bachubai Shah, all came to the site. "You can't do this," they shouted, demanding we stop. Bachubai Shah, the son of Chimanlal Shah, came to serve me with what I presumed to be a notice enjoining me, that means stopping me, from rebuilding the temple and threatening me with consequences if I did. But when I saw him, I ran away as fast as I could. And he came running after me as fast as he could in his suit and tie. And I thought, the respectable solicitor Bachubai Shah is running after me like a child in a playground. Where is his dignity? He couldn't catch me. And when I looked back from a safe distance, I saw him, looking frustrated, leave the letter with someone else who just happened to be there, with no proof that I had received the notice or ever would. Matre too demanded that we halt the construction. Now, Mr. Sethi, as you'll find out soon, had a real Kshatriya spirit. He was a Punjabi, and he had a real Kshatriya spirit. So Matre too demanded that we halt the construction. "No," Mr. Sethi replied. "Why should we stop?" "You can build it," Matre threatened, "but I will come in the night with 50 gundas, hooligans, and break it down." Mr. Sethi turned to his son, who was by his side, and said, "Brij Mohan, bring my revolver and my rifle." Then he said to Matre, "Don't bring 50 gundas. Bring 100. Bring 200. I have 250 cartridges. You will have to bring at least 251. He had a Kshatriya side, and he was staunch. Later, Maithili Dasi, who was one of the heroes of this event, said they didn't count, means the enemies, they didn't count on the amazing heroism and bravery of my personal hero, Mr. P.L. Sethi. As Brij Mohan Sethi remembered, so, with the revolver in my hand and the rifle in Daddy's hand, we started the work. We could not do this because of something in us, but because of the blessings of Prabhupada. Only with his blessings and mercy could we start the construction. The entire night it was raining cats and dogs. means raining very heavily. But we never stopped the work. It went on. As the rain fell, Mr. Sethi recalled how by lifting Govardhan Hill, Lord Krishna had protected the inhabitants of Vrindavan from the devastating rainfall sent by Indra. He was unperturbed. Indra wants to test me, he thought. All right. If you want to come down, you can come down more heavily. But I have the blessings of Srila Prabhupada. I have to rebuild the temple, and I will. I was overseeing the rebuilding, and Tamal Krishna told me, I want you to stay up all night and make sure the work is done. People will be working all night long, and Gundas may come to attack. I want you to stay up and make sure that the work keeps going and that nothing goes wrong. A few days earlier, Satsvarupa Das Goswami, my first temple president, by whom I was greatly inspired, had passed through Bombay. I appreciated his humble and gentle demeanor, and I wanted to emulate him. When Tamal Krishna told me to stay up all night and oversee the work, I mentioned how I wanted to be like Satsvarupa Maharaj, a simple, humble sadhu. Tamal Krishna looked me straight in the eyes, and with a firm intensity and controlled anger, he responded, your humility will be to stay up all night and make sure this temple gets rebuilt. I thought about it, and I had to agree. Where was the humility if I was not ready to surrender to the order or desire of the spiritual master? If I would have retired for the evening so I could get up early and be a good devotee and chant my rounds, which wasn't bad, I wouldn't really have been humble. It was more humble to submit to the authority and do the needful for Srila Prabhupada's service. Mr. Sethi and his son, the friends and life members and the laborers stayed up all night to protect and complete the construction. I was there with a gun, Mr. Sethi recalled. We started at 9. At 11, one man came at the road, but I challenged him. If you come inside, I will shoot you. And he ran away and shouted to some other men, they are ready to fight. Don't go there. It was pouring rain, and the lightning was bad. And when the men were putting up the asbestos sheets to be on the roof, they were slipping on the ground. So we brought 50 mats and put 20 men on them, one man supporting another, so that there was no slipping. 10 masons worked all night, and we completed the walls and the plaster. Sridhar Swami was at the site too, chanting japa in the jeep. When someone asked him why he was there, he joked, so if anybody comes, I can make a quick escape. But then he later explained, actually, the whole thing was right in keeping with my nature. When there is a good chance to fight for Krishna, I don't run away from it. It was very exciting. I was ready. We stayed up all night, miserable night, but we were waiting for them to come. Mr. Sethi had his gun, and I had a knife or some other weapon. And the devotees, life members, masons, and other skilled workers, laborers, and other friends did it. They put it all up in that one night, finishing around 4 in the morning, and no one came to disturb the work. And then we had Mangal Arati. Matre, who was one of Nair's accomplices, returned around 7 the next morning, but by then it was too late. It is built, we told him. Go to the court. Later that morning, we appeared in the High Court and told the judge that the temple had already been rebuilt. What is built, he said to Mrs. Nair. No one can destroy the temple. When Prabhupada heard the news, he considered it a complete victory. The temple had been rebuilt. Quote, in Bombay, we have just been victorious over the party who had torn down our temple, and the temple has been completely reconstructed. In addition to our gaining overwhelming new popular support, he wrote to Guru Das. I am glad to hear of victory in the matter of Bombay property, he wrote to one of our local supporters, Mrs. Singhal. Now it is rebuilt and people are supporting our cause and finding out more about this great movement. You please help and tell everyone how nice chanting Hare Krishna is. During the temple reconstruction, Mr. Sethi had demonstrated his Kshatriya spirit, for which Prabhupada expressed his appreciation, also teaching us a lesson that sometimes a fighting spirit was required. Quote, in this way we have to fight, he later said. We should not be afraid for these rascals. Why should you be afraid? If they take to Gundaism, we shall engage 50 Gundas. Come on, let's see. We have to maintain that spirit. Anyaya ye kari Prabhu, ara anyaya ye sahe. Rabindranath Tagore's poetry. One who does wrong and one who suffers wrong, he is wrong. One should not do anything wrong. One should not suffer anything wrong. That is human. If someone does harm to me, wrong to me, I cannot suffer it. I shall not do any harm to anyone. That's all right. But if you want to give me suffering, I must fight you. That is Kshatriya spirit. If you are challenging, then all right, come on. I accept this challenge. We have to do like that. He continued, if somebody is a tatai, aggressor, you unnecessarily attack me, I must kill you. That is my duty. Just like you have done here, Setiji. I'll bring my revolver. They wanted to put us in trouble, and he was in great trouble. So he came and stood. All right, come on, we shall fight. Bring my revolver. He did that. So we have to do that. Why shall I tolerate unnecessary injustice? Take that spirit. If there is a fight, Prabhupada said, we must be prepared to fight. So there's more discussion about Mr. Sethi's Kshatriya spirit. And then, referring to the rebuilding of the temple, Mr. Sethi said, I declared, if they challenge us, I am ready. Come on. In the night at the temple, I challenged, come on. And you are 150, we are not afraid. Then Matre came with that barrister to give Giriraj notice. I scolded and insulted him publicly. Therefore, Prabhupada said, Matre was so against that we must stop this. Yes, I heard from that doctor that he was insulted by Seti. Either Seti should go like that. He has repeated, he gave me a hint, remove Seti. But I replied, I will not let that happen. And that doctor was Matre's man. He also gave hint, give Matre 2 lakhs of rupees. He was canvasser on behalf of Matre. He wanted 2 lakhs. We will not give you a single paisa, Mr. Seti concluded. We will fight you. Come on. So, of course, we could go on and on speaking about Srila Prabhupada's glorious victory in Juhu and all the wonderful friends and devotees who supported Srila Prabhupada. But I think we have come to the point in our schedule where I will conclude my presentation and we will have questions and answers. Is that right?
Yes, thank you so much for your wonderful expression. We'll learn a lot of things. So we have a few questions about that. So first, I go for maybe beginning. First, you joined the Hare Krishna movement and you stayed within 5 minutes. You experience with Srila Prabhupada and you feel that 20 years of academic character. So how you feel this is 20 years your academic experience is compared to 5 minutes? What is that actually? Can you explain more details about that, Maharaj?
Yes. Because what I learned in my academic experience did not teach me anything about who I am, that I'm not the body, I'm the soul within the body, or what is my purpose in life, that my purpose is to serve Krishna and ultimately go back home, back to Godhead. So I didn't really learn anything of value in an ultimate sense. But when I met Srila Prabhupada, within a few minutes, he told me everything I needed to know. And I am, I'm so grateful to him. He completely reformed my life. He completely changed the direction of my life. Yeah.
Okay, one more thing is, do you have any issue with your family? You are joined in the Hare Krishna movement in that time, and how you handle that things if have?
They were against my joining, although to their credit, they did understand that Srila Prabhupada was a genuine guru and that Krishna consciousness was a genuine movement. But they didn't want me to join it. They wanted me to, be a regular person. Now, what happened was that they came to India and met Srila Prabhupada and tried to get me back. They didn't say they wanted me to leave Krishna consciousness, but they just wanted me to come back to America. They said I could practice Krishna consciousness there. So it was a very enlightening, I would say, exchange between my parents and Srila Prabhupada in Calcutta. And so my father said that that he wanted to establish a trust for me and give me $1 million. And he wanted me to come back to America to sign the documents. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, you can send the documents and he will sign. And then Srila Prabhupada said that, he will be coming to America in, I think, May. And so I said to my father, just see how intelligent Srila Prabhupada is, that when it's pleasant in America and it's too hot in India, he goes to America. And when it's cold in America and pleasant in India, he arranges to be in India. By this point, my father was getting really enlivened by Srila Prabhupada, and he said, actually, your master is very intelligent. And Srila Prabhupada said, your son is intelligent because he has understood my strategy to be always where the weather is good. And then my father said, no, actually, you are very intelligent. He said,
He knows.
And then Prabhupada said, well, I guess I must be intelligent. Otherwise, how could I attract so many intelligent young men like your son? So, yeah, they had that exchange. And my mother, her concern was about my health. And in those days, people had the idea that if you didn't eat meat, you couldn't get enough protein. And Srila Prabhupada would always keep sweets on his table to distribute as prasad. And Calcutta, he had rasgullas and sandesh. So he said, he distributed to my parents, and he said that, this is made of cheese, paneer, and it's very high in protein. And then he said to me, Giriraj, you must eat 24 rasgullas and sandesh every day. But he was very kind, and from Calcutta I went to Madras. And in Madras, I gained a lot of weight. It's true, when my parents visited, I was quite thin. But in Madras, staying at different people's homes and, whatever, idli and dosa and sambar and everything. So I put on weight. And then when Prabhupada came to Madras, he said I should take a picture of myself and send it to my mother. So, yeah, he hadn't forgotten her concern about my health. And he wanted to reassure her. Very nice.
Okay, yeah, this question is Nitya Radha Dasi. She asking, how many total days it took to build and rebuild the temple or Juhu?
Oh, well, we did it on the weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the whole point. Mrs. Nair went to the court on Friday to ask the judge to give an injunction to stop us from rebuilding. And then the judge said, no, I won't give any injunction, even a temporary one, unless I hear from the other side, which was Monday morning. So we rebuilt it over the weekend. We had from like Friday night till Monday morning. And they did it. Mr. Sethi and his crew, they did it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this Juhu story is like small Mahabharata, Kurukshetra. and it is good fight. So what is actually your role there? Is this Arjuna or something?
Well, Srila Prabhupada said that. Prabhupada said that Bombay is like Kurukshetra and Giriraj is our Arjuna.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great. Wonderful. So, in this prospect, what is Prabhupada advice that how to handle this all demonic people? Because nowadays also so much problem different way.
Yeah, well, there's always a fight,
Mm-hmm.
devotees and the demons. And, how we deal with them would depend on the situation. I mean, in Juhu, it was like a war, exactly. It was like a war. But the same thing, sometimes the demons try to stop us from getting permission to build our projects. And we have to fight. We have to fight Krishna. And how we fight will depend on the situation. It could be legally, it could be diplomatically, trying to use influence. Yeah. But Prabhupada was a fighter.
Yeah, fight for right.
Yeah. Yes.
That's good. So in this circumstance, how you now in type of Srila Prabhupada, if anybody joined ISKCON, they directly go to the temple and live in the temple. But now time people are not leaving the temple outside. So what your opinion about these things?
Well, it's true that now the majority of devotees are what we say congregation members. Yeah, they live outside. But we always need, full-time dedicated devotees to enliven the congregation. And it's true in some places we don't have many temple devotees. Mostly we have congregation. But in other places we do have, and it's necessary. I'm referring to North America. Of course, in India, there's, so many brahmacharis. It's a whole different situation. But in North America, there are not many, but there are some. And they are very important for our society. Yeah.
So what your advice in the new generation? Because we have a lot of experiences, Srila Prabhupada, and you experience 50 years in Hare Krishna movements.
Yeah. Well, devotees who can remain brahmachari are rare. Most devotees will marry. And then if they marry, they have to be able to, provide for their wife and family. So they may require, to learn some skill or whatever, occupation. But the main thing is to never forget Krishna and to be, not to get carried away with the material side of family life and, maintaining the family, but to keep the focus on Krishna consciousness.
Okay, another question is asking the Mr. Naha, he's passed away at that time. How it is he died? Can you explain more? This is something like It will be interesting.
Yeah, that was very significant. I was walking on the day after he died. I was walking in a part of Bombay called Metro, because it's near the Metro Cinema, and they would have vendors sitting on the footpath on the sidewalk selling, newspapers and magazines. I didn't usually look, but that day I just happened to look down, and I saw a big headline on the front page of one of the newspapers. A.B. Nair is dead. Because he was a big man in Bombay. He was the editor of the Free Press Journal, and he had been the sheriff of Bombay. So when I saw that headline, I felt jubilant. I felt like dancing on the street. But then I thought to myself, is this proper? We're trying to be saintly persons. Is it proper for a saintly person to feel jubilant when someone dies? So, meanwhile, means we phoned Srila Prabhupada. Bali Mardan, he was visiting Bombay, and he had more experience with Srila Prabhupada in that way. So Bali Mardan phoned Srila Prabhupada, who was in New Zealand, and gave him the news that Nair was dead. I mean, ostensibly, he died of a heart attack. He suddenly had a heart attack. But there's more to it. So when Srila Prabhupada, so Shrutakirti Prabhu, who was Srila Prabhupada's servant, he took the call, and he came and informed Srila Prabhupada that it was Bali Mardan, and he said that Nair is dead. And Prabhupada folded his hands above his head and said, "Thank you, Krishna. Thank you. I was praying for this."
Oh.
Yeah. He caused too much trouble to the devotees and the deities. And then Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to me. It was addressed to me and some of our other supporters. And he said that today I have received one message, one telephonic message from Bali Mardan, that Nair is dead. And if this is a fact, it is an occasion of great jubilation. And then he quoted Prahlad Maharaj that even saintly persons take pleasure when a snake or a scorpion is killed. And he said that Nair was a big snake, so it's good that Krishna killed him.
Yeah, very nice. So another question is Shamir Prabhu asking, so Mr. Nair saw her husband in a dream to tell her not to fight.
Who appeared in, someone appeared in Mrs. Nair's dream?
Yeah, Mrs. Nair dream that her husband said, "Don't fight."
Oh, that's very nice.
So something like anything dream coming with, she expressed her.
Oh, I don't remember, but she regretted what happened, and she surrendered to Srila Prabhupada and apologized. And Srila Prabhupada said, that's all right. That if you go off the path in the morning and then you come back on the path in the afternoon, then it's okay. Yeah. he was very kind to her, very compassionate to her. Yeah.
Okay, so one more question is, Srila Prabhupada asking somebody write the book,
Yeah.
and after 40 years later, you starting book. Why so late and what is this?
Well, no, I started, let's see. Yeah, I guess you could say I was preparing. I mean, I gathered a lot of material, and the actual writing itself went on for about 3 years. I mean, not that I'm in the same category, but someone asked Srila Prabhupada a similar question that, in 1936, your Guru Maharaj told you to go to the West and preach, and you came in 1965, like 30 years later. And Srila Prabhupada said he was preparing. He was preparing.
That's good.
Yeah, I was also preparing. And in the meantime, I wrote other books.
Okay.
In a way, were more urgent, and they were smaller projects, so I could do them more quickly. Yeah, so I wrote Watering the Seed. And I also had bits about Juhu, but so I wrote Watering the Seed, then Many Moons, and then Life's Final Exhale.
So when you expecting that this latest book, like I Will Build a Temple, the Juhu Story, is published totally for people, general public to get it?
Yeah, well, it's published. It's published.
Okay.
The book is out.
Mm-hmm. So when can get in general?
Yeah. So yeah, it was printed in India, so it's available in India, and then copies are being sent by ship.
So it is take time.
Yeah. So the ship is coming from Mumbai to Los Angeles, and then from Los Angeles, copies will be sent all over North America.
And how can order this copy?
Yeah, there's a site where you can go to pre-order.
Okay.
In fact, it was in that video you showed.
Yeah, there's a inside there.
I don't remember offhand, but it's
video have link.
Yeah. So yeah, you can order. You can do pre-order, and then when the books come, we will service the order.
Amazon to buy from there?
Sorry? Amazon?
Yeah, Amazon.
Yeah. Eventually it will go to Amazon also. Not immediately.
Easy to get it.
Yeah. And then there's Krishna culture. I don't know if you're aware of Krishna culture, but they used to be in Houston. Now they're in Dallas. So you can order books from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So far that's everything. Your time also running out. So thank you so much for your wonderful explanation about this nice story and experience with Srila Prabhupada. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. And please bless to us, and we can continue our service. Thank you so much.
Thank you for organizing the program, and I wish you all success in your Krishna consciousness.
We'll see you next time. Hare Krishna.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone. So we humbly request, this new book is coming soon. It's a wonderful book. I Will Build a Temple, the Juhu Story. It is like small Mahabharata. It is called Iskal Mahabharata with demon devotee and non-devotee, and we can learn many things from that. And book is nicely explains all nice topic we can learn from that. So thank you so much again, Maharaj. Thank you. And now stop.
Yes, I think we're ending now. We can conclude with Vaishnav Pranam.
Yes.
Panchakalpa
Vatsha kripa sindhu evacha patitanai pavanai vaishnavai namo namo. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai All Glories to Srila Prabhupada, Giriraj Swami Maharaj ki Jai.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you.
Thank you.